Hi, welcome to Chapter 5, Primary Activities. This chapter is about the primary sector of the economy. Now, let me start off in a systematic manner. What is an economic activity? Human activities which generate income are known as economic activities. Any nation's economy is divided into various sectors like primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary sectors. And the reason we have done such a division is to identify the population engaged in various activities that supports the economy. Now, why do we need to do that? Because it's always better if we measure growth so that necessary changes, development can be made. It's like how supermarkets constantly track their consumers' behavior, their buying habits. By doing so, they can predict what customers will buy in the future. When the data is properly used and interpreted, it can let you know how to sell the products efficiently, what discount and benefit can be added in order to make the demand meet the supply. In the similar manner, government tracks the economy and records the behavior of the population engaged in various activities. This way, government can see trends and if necessary, make the required changes and tweaks that can have a significant effect, such as it can increase employment, demand, production, and many other things. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. So this chapter is purely about primary activities where people are directly dependent on environment. It's like putting your hands directly into the earth's resources such as land, water, vegetation, building materials and minerals and earning a living from it. That's why you must have seen a lot of people engaging in activities like hunting and gathering, pastoral activities, fishing, forestry, agriculture, mining and quarrying. These are their livelihoods and all of these are provided by nature, hence they are natural. So you can easily correlate. We're going to read about some of the primary activities, what are their importance, how they are done, and few pros and cons. So the first topic is hunting and gathering. I think you understand the meaning of the terms hunting and gathering. If you remember the stories of early men, they were dependent on animals and plants for food, shelter, and clothing. So it is not something new. Every part of the world is familiar with this kind of economic activity. Places with extreme hot and cold climates, then coastal regions, mountainous regions, everywhere hunting and gathering is carried out by humans in different manner to satisfy the needs for food, shelter and clothing. Now gathering is practiced in high latitude zones which include northern Canada, northern Eurasia and southern Chile. We are talking about regions above the temperate zone. These places are very cold and they are ideal to grow tasty fruits that have high commercial value. We are talking about apple, pear, peach, plum, grape, strawberry, blueberry, etc. All these are commercial fruits and there is huge demand in the market. And the places at low latitude zones such as Amazon Basin, tropical Africa, northern fringe of Australia and the interior part of Southeast Asia, these are tropical regions of southern hemisphere. Here mainly you will find evergreen trees, bushes and shrubs which have medicinal qualities. They are also used for beverages, drugs, cosmetics, fibers, fabric, etc. And after simple processing, the products are sold in the market. So you can understand the commercial usage of this primary activity. The next topic is pastoralism. So what is the meaning of pastoralism? Pastoralism is the branch of agriculture concerned with the raising of livestock. In simple terms, it is animal husbandry. You know the care and use of animals such as camels, goats, cattle, yaks, llamas and sheep. Now it is kind of funny that earlier when people killed animal for food, shelter and clothing, soon they realized that it is not sustainable, meaning hunting animal is not at all a permanent solution to human needs. And then they realized, okay, why not we domesticate animals? Because there is a benefit on both sides. Humans will get their needs fulfilled and animal will get the necessary care. It is like a win-win situation on both sides. And that's how pastoralism came into existence. Today it is done both to support individually as well as at commercial level, that is to sell products in the market. Now under pastoralism we have subtopics and right now we'll read about nomadic herding. Let's break down the words and understand the meaning first. Nomadic meaning living the life of a nomad. They are people who move from one place to another in search of food and shelter. And the meaning of herding is having a group of animals and then moving in a group. You must have seen on the road people moving with large group of goats and cattle. That's called herding. So the meaning of nomadic herding is they are people who move from one place to another along with their livestock or animals. Now nomads are everywhere in the world. So depending on region, variety of animals are available with these nomads. For example, in tropical Africa, the African countries near equator, cattle are the most important livestock, while in Sahara and Asiatic deserts, sheep, goats and camels are reared. In the mountainous areas of Tibet and Andes, yak and llamas, and in the Arctic and subarctic areas, reindeer are the most important animals. Nomadic herding is common in three important regions of the world. I'll show you everything on a map so that it's easy to remember. The first region is Atlantic shores of North Africa, eastwards across the Arabian Peninsula into Mongolia and central China. The second region extends over the tundra region of Eurasia. And the third region is in the southern hemisphere. There are small areas in southwest Africa and on the islands of Madagascar. Just roughly remember these areas. There is this term called transhumance. Many times it is asked in exams. It is referred to the movement of livestock from one grazing ground to another depending upon the season. For example, during summers, mountains are much cooler than plain areas, so they move to mountains, and during winter, plain areas are warmer than mountains, so they move back to plain areas. This is called transhumance. In India, there are some tribes who practice transhumance. These tribes are Gujjars, Bakarwals, Gaddis and Bhotias. And the next subtopic of pastoralism is commercial livestock rearing. Whenever the word commercial comes, it means engaging in some sort of business or commerce where the intention is to make profit. So commercial livestock rearing is rearing animals for business purpose or making profit out of it. They're very capital intensive, meaning a lot of money is involved in setting up infrastructure, caring of animals, production, etc. It is a fully fledged business model, and these are very common in Western societies. You will see huge ranches covered in large areas. In fact, the food that you eat in McDonald's, KFC, they are mostly supplied by ranches. So what happens is, these ranches produce milk products, supply meat, vegetables, plants, herbs, grains, etc. to these big food and beverage companies. And we know these big corporations have huge turnovers because we all love to eat their fast food. And that's how the commercial livestock rearing policy comes into play. And I'm just giving you one example of food companies. There are many industries in the world like textile, fishing, consumer goods. They are all running on the model of commercial livestock rearing. New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, Uruguay and United States are important countries where commercial livestock rearing is practiced. Now we are going to read about the next broad topic, agriculture. I don't need to tell you the meaning of it, you know what is the meaning of agriculture. But what I would like to say is there are different types of agricultural systems. Yes, you heard me right. There are well-established systems in agriculture. We're going to read about them in brief. The first one is subsistence agriculture. The meaning of subsistence is self-sufficiency, supporting yourself. So in this type of agriculture, a farmer grows enough food to support him and his family. Now it is further grouped into two categories: primitive subsistence agriculture and intensive subsistence agriculture. Let's understand primitive subsistence agriculture. We know the meaning of subsistence agriculture, right? What is left is to understand the meaning of primitive. Now primitive means ancient, prehistoric, or preserving the character of an early stage. Now if you add all the words together, the meaning of primitive subsistence agriculture is, it is a method in which a farmer uses traditional ideology to grow food for him and his family. I hope you understood what I just said. That's why you will find slash and burn agriculture falling in this category. Slash and burn agriculture is known as shifting agriculture, where the vegetation is usually cleared by fire, and the ashes add to the fertility of the soil. After repeating it 3 or 4 times, the soil loses its fertility, and the farmer shifts to another part and does the same things all over again. This kind of agriculture is quite famous in tropical region, since vegetation is usually cleared by fire and vegetation is more in tropical region. You can remember it this way. This type of agriculture is named as jhumming in northeastern states of India. It's named as milpa in Central America and Mexico, In Indonesia and Malaysia, it is called as ladang. Let me show you the places on a world map that are famous for primitive subsistence agriculture. If you notice, all places are a tropical region. The second category under subsistence agriculture is intensive subsistence agriculture. Again, we know the meaning of subsistence agriculture, and the meaning of intensive is concentrated on a single subject. So if we have to combine all the words together, intensive subsistence agriculture is a method in which a farmer concentrates on any one crop at a time, or his land is intensely used up by one crop at a time, and then whatever he produces, it is for his family and his own consumption. Going forward, again there are two types of intensive subsistence agriculture. First one is intensive subsistence agriculture, dominated by wet paddy cultivation. And the second one is intensive subsistence agriculture, dominated by crops other than paddy. Basically, the crops other than paddy are wheat, soybean, barley, and sorghum. Let me just show you what paddy looks like. Paddy is basically rice with the husk on it. And if you remove the husk, you will get rice. So in many parts of the world, rice is a staple crop. In India, it's so common, almost everyone eats rice at least one time in a day. Therefore, rice falls under intensive subsistence agriculture. One more thing that we need to understand is that in intensive subsistence agriculture, farmers work with the help of family labor. Since most of the output is self-consumed by the farmer's family, hence there is not much profit involved. So family labor is the only alternative than having outside labor. Again, due to lack of profit, use of machinery is limited, and most of the agricultural operations are done by manual labor. And they also rely on natural farm manure instead of packaged fertilizers. So these are some of the characteristic traits of intensive subsistence agriculture. Do remember them. It often comes in the form of essays or long answers in exam. Have a look at the places of intensive subsistence farming. In India, most of the south and northeastern states rely on rice or paddy. And then you have the Southeast Asian countries and the South Asian countries. There most of the delicacies contain rice. Now we are going to read about next form of agricultural system known as plantation agriculture. It is a form of commercial farming where crops are grown for profit. That's why you will see some of the important plantation crops like tea, coffee, cocoa, rubber, cotton, palm oil, sugarcane, bananas and pineapples. They have great demand in the market. Now let's understand the characteristic features of this type of farming. To do this kind of farming, you need large property. That's why you'll see the land areas in Darjeeling for tea plantation are so massive. It will have so many people working around the clock, managing the land and providing technical support to the plants. And then there will be a scientific lab sort of a department which keeps an eye on the plants and constantly observe its genetic behavior. Then you will have a good system of transportation for supplying the final product to the market. And finally, you will see large number of laborers plucking leaves. So if you see, all this requires huge capital and money. It is all commercial activity, hence there is a lot that goes into it. So understand these characteristic traits. Now let's see where all do we find these commercial plantation crops. Cocoa and coffee is found in West Africa, thanks to the French establishment over there. And you will find large tea gardens in India and Sri Lanka. This is due to British setup. Rubber plantation in Malaysia, sugar and banana plantation in West Indies, coconut in Philippines. This is because of Spanish and American investment. And the next type of agricultural system is extensive commercial grain cultivation. Whenever there is a word called commercial, always remember we are dealing with business that deals in profit. And the word extensive means large scale operation. So in this type of agriculture, commercial crops are grown in large scale. We are talking about corn, barley, oats and rye. The size of the farm is very large, therefore almost all the operations are mechanized from cultivation to plowing to harvesting. Here is a map that shows places of extensive commercial grain farming. Eurasian steppes, the Canadian and American prairies, the pampas of Argentina, the velds of South Africa, the Australian Downs, and the Canterbury Plains of New Zealand. And the next type of agricultural system is mixed farming. Mixed farming is an agricultural system that comprises farming along with the raising of livestock. This form of agriculture is found in the highly developed parts of the world. Example, Northwestern Europe, Eastern North America, parts of Eurasia, and the temperate latitude of southern continents. Most of the crops that falls in this category of farming are wheat, barley, oats, rye, maize, fodder, and root crops. Animals like cattle, sheep, pigs, and poultry provide the main income along with crops. Now that you know, it has maintenance for both crops as well as animals. Hence, it will have high capital expenditure on machineries, building, fertilizers, and skilled farmers and laborers. And the next one is dairy farming. Dairy products are highly commercial. Therefore, this is a capital intensive activity. You will need huge amount of investment in animal sheds, storage facilities for fodder, feeding, and milking machines. Then you also need to invest in cattle breeding, healthcare, and veterinary services. So it all adds to the cost of dairy farming. You will also need a lot of labor to run a dairy farm, and that adds to cost as well. One thing that you will have to consider is, with advancement in transportation, refrigeration, pasteurization, and other preservation processes, the duration of storage of various dairy products have increased. As a result, if you can preserve something, then there will be less wastage, and that makes dairy farming lucrative. You can see the places in this map. There are three main regions. One is in northwestern Europe, the second is Canada, and the third belt includes southeastern Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania. And the next one is Mediterranean agriculture. When we say Mediterranean, we are talking about countries on either side of Mediterranean Sea. We are talking about this region, all of these countries. Here the agriculture is highly specialized commercial agriculture. This region is an important supplier of figs, apples, apricots, avocados, peach, pears, olives, strawberries, and many citrus fruits. You see, all these fruits have high market demand and value. Mediterranean region is famous for grape cultivation or viticulture. As you know, wines are produced from high quality grapes, and such wines have very high market value, and you can understand this kind of activity would be highly commercial. So remember, viticulture stands for grape cultivation. We move on to the next topic, market gardening and horticulture. Horticulture is referred to as the art, science, or business of growing plants. And when we say plants, we are talking about medicinal plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, sprouts, mushrooms. These plants are not big in size, hence you don't need a large piece of land. They are usually located near urban areas where the standard of living is high. Again, a very highly commercial form of agriculture. If you see, this type of agriculture is both labor and capital intensive. And in fact, the use of irrigation, high-yielding variety seeds, fertilizers, insecticides, greenhouses, and artificial heating in colder regions increases the cost of production, hence the returns have to be profitable. That's why they are commercial crops. You will find horticulture being practiced at regions of Northwest Europe, Northeastern United States of America, and the Mediterranean regions. And these places are highly developed, so no wonder such an agricultural method is common. And the last type of farming is collective farming. This farming was introduced by the Soviet Union to improve upon the inefficiency of their agriculture. The farmers have to pool in all their resources like land, livestock, and labor. They are allowed to retain very small plots to grow crops in order to meet their daily requirements. And when everybody works together, the productivity increases. After keeping a certain amount, the farmer will have to sell it to the state at fixed price. This kind of approach is called a socialist approach, meaning everyone is treated equally with equal opportunity. But this model soon collapsed and have been modified because there was no profit involved. So, these are all the different type of agricultural methods practiced at different parts of the world. Now we are going to read about the last topic of this chapter, mining, because mining too is a primary activity. The meaning of mining is the process or industry of obtaining minerals from a mine. It requires digging, drilling, blasting, and other types of heavy extraction. If you look at the human history, humans have discovered minerals in many stages in terms of Copper Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. Therefore, mining is not something new. However, actual development of mining began with the Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution took place after 1760. From there on, the importance of mining is continuously increasing. Let's understand what are the factors affecting mining activity. The first one is physical factors, which includes the size, grade, and the mode of occurrence of the deposits. You need to first find out where the actual mineral deposit is before mining. It is very important. And the second factor is economic factors, such as demand for the mineral, technology available and used, capital to develop infrastructure, and the labor and transport costs. To successfully perform any activity, the cost associated with that has to be taken care of. You cannot just continue mining and pile up all the minerals deposits without even thinking about demand. Since mining is an expensive activity, demand has to be sorted out well in advance so that there isn't any major loss. Now let's understand the methods of mining. So there are two types of mining: surface mining and underground mining. The surface mining, also known as open cast mining, is the easiest and the cheapest way of mining. On the other hand, underground mining is expensive. The mineral ore lies deep below the surface and it will require a series of drilling with the help of vertical shafts, which is quite an expensive tool. It requires specially designed lifts, drills, haulage vehicles, ventilation system for safety and efficient movement of people and material. This method is very risky. Several countries of Africa and few of South America and Asia have over 50% of the earnings through mining. And on the other hand, developed countries are moving away from mining because of high labor cost. That's why most of the developed nations import minerals from other countries. This turns out to be less expensive for them. This brings us to the end. The question answer of this chapter is available. The link to that is in the description as well as in the info card, which is there at the top right corner of this video screen. I hope you found this video informative. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you enjoyed these videos and see a purpose behind watching them, please like the video and comment down below. Until then, catch you guys later and talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.